Hi, I'm Mr. Dillman, and today I'm going to tell you what it's like to be a technology teacher. Technology teacher's job is really to design lessons and activities to teach students entry-level skills in technology and engineering. Day-to-day work is similar to any teacher, with lesson planning and grading, handling student and parent concerns, attending meetings, and things like that. The content areas that you might teach as a technology teacher range widely from hands-on classes to engineering design to digital media and computer science. And there's just dozens of different topics that a technology teacher might actually teach. The biggest task is to work with students and to learn how to motivate them and to teach them skills that will be valuable to them after high school. Tech teachers generally work in a pretty comfortable indoor setting with a fixed schedule that follows the school year. They might be responsible for taking care of large classrooms with lots of expensive and delicate equipment. For people interested in becoming a technology teacher, there are two different ways that you could do that in New York State. So this is where we are in Clifton Park. For people who are interested in going the college route, uh, you would need to get a 4-year bachelor's degree in technology education. And there are two schools in New York State that offer that degree program. The big one is SUNY Oswego in Oswego, New York, which is right here, and the other is SUNY Buffalo, which is out in Buffalo, New York, over here. The program at SUNY Buffalo is much smaller. Oswego is where most of the technology teachers in the state get their education. After the 4-year bachelor's degree, New York State requires all teachers to get a 2-year master's degree in order to be able to teach. You can get a 2-year master's degree in technology education specifically, or you can get it in a related area like educational technologies, which is something different. You could get your master's degree in special education or in a technical field related to tech education, and that would still satisfy New York State's requirement for a master's degree. You also have to get New York State teacher certification, which requires the master's degree as well as 2 years or more of work experience. And after graduating with your bachelor's degree, you've got 5 years to accomplish that. So within the 5 years you graduate from college, you've got to obtain a master's degree, which some people do slowly over 5 years. And you've got to get at least 2 years of work experience within that time frame. There are also people who become technology teachers through another route, which is the industry route. And sometimes when there's not enough tech teachers out there, this is how schools find their teachers. If you work for at least a year as a professional in a related industry, such as engineering or the trades, or production or broadcasting or computer science, if you work as a professional in one of those industries and you decide that you want to teach, you can then complete a teacher training program. You can complete a student teaching experience, and then you can pass the necessary teacher exams, and right away you can start teaching your content area. So that's a little more specific. It's not as general as a technology education teacher would be normally, where we can cover any tech subject that is taught across the entire state. We're qualified to teach them. For these industry folks, they have to be teaching specifically the thing that they worked as a professional in. So if they are coming from an engineering background, they are certified to teach engineering. That same teacher would not be qualified to go and teach automotive technologies unless they were an automotive engineer. That would be outside of their certification area. But this is a second option, a different way to become a technology teacher. Technology teachers make their money the same way all teachers do. In New York State, teachers are paid according to salary schedules that are negotiated by the local teachers union. So each school has its own teachers union who negotiates with the school district every couple of years to decide what the working conditions should be, what the benefits should be, what the salaries should be. They reach an agreement with the school district, and the community votes on it and says, yes, this is acceptable. Normally, teachers' pay will get higher with years of experience and with education. So for a new teacher who only has a bachelor's degree and hasn't earned their master's degree yet, they're going to be at the lowest end of the salary schedule, which in New York State can be as low as $33,000 a year. But as they gain more education, they get their master's degree, they have more years in the field, they can raise their salary every year until they're sort of on average, which in New York State, around the average for teacher salaries is about $62,000 a year. And towards the end of their career, with lots and lots of years of experience, they could be making as much as $100,000 a year or more, depending on the school district where they work. Some parts of the state make a lot more money than others, but it's also partly because it costs a lot more to live in areas like Long Island or New York City. Um, Compared with the rest of the nation, New York State teachers are among some of the highest paid in the entire country. There's lots of states out there where teacher pay is very, very low. New York State is among the highest. But when compared with other jobs that also require a master's degree, teacher pay is a little bit lower. The New York State average for people holding a master's degree is $70,000 a year. Teachers being on average about $62,000 a year comes in quite a bit below that. But you also have to consider the fact that teachers are 10-month employees. So that $62,000 a year should really be $62,000 per 10 months. And then teachers are unemployed during the summer, and it's possible for them to make up the remaining difference, the rest of that money, in another way. Aside from salaries, there are other benefits that come with working as a teacher. For example, teachers normally get medical insurance and dental insurance through the school district where they work. So a small amount of money is taken out of your paycheck every 2 weeks. And if you ever need to go to the doctor's office, or you need to have x-rays done, or you need prescription medicine, the cost of those things is dramatically decreased. Not all employers offer insurance. Teachers look forward to pensions when they retire. Basically, after retiring from a job as a teacher, you spend the rest of your life collecting a pension, which is a portion of your annual salary on that last year that you worked. So the more experience you have, the higher your salary is when you retire, the more money you get each year in your pension. But it's our way of taking care of the people who are no longer working, who have retired. Teachers get a pension. Other types of jobs can also get pensions, but not all of them. So it's something to think about when you're choosing a career. Other benefits, such as paid leave time for if somebody has a child and needs time away from work, or sick and personal days, those are sometimes benefits to a job. If you get a job that does not offer paid sick time, personal time, you end up losing income on days that you need to be out and away from work. So these are some additional benefits to working as a teacher. The STA is the Shenendehowa Teachers Association. That's the name for the teachers union at Shen. The STA is the group that negotiates the teacher's employment contract with the district and provides support for teachers who might need it. The STA also awards scholarships each year to students going into college to become teachers. NYSUT is the New York State Teachers Union, and they work to support teachers at the state level. Whenever the State Department of Education makes decisions that will impact the pay or working conditions of teachers, NYSUT works to make sure that all New York State teachers get treated fairly. NYSTEA is the New York State Technology and Engineering Educators Association, and this group specifically supports technology and engineering teachers in the state of New York by making sure that New York State continues to offer high-quality technology education to students. And NYSTEA also supports tech teachers by sharing teaching materials and by hosting a conference each year where New York State tech teachers can get together to share their best ideas. ITEA is the International Tech and Engineering Educators Association, and they work to support tech teachers all across the country and the world. ITEA writes the standards that are used by tech teachers everywhere to guide their teaching towards the most important educational goals. Like any job, being a technology teacher has its pros and cons. For one thing, it has a pretty decent salary compared with jobs across the board, and it has very good benefits. But Unfortunately, you don't get paid during the summer, so most people have to either save up throughout the year or figure out some kind of other job to do during the summertime to make sure they can pay the bills. A pro is that you have a reliable work schedule and you know when you're going to have time off. So following the school schedule, you're sure about when you have vacation time. You're sure about what hours you're required to work. You're sure about what days you're required to work. It's very consistent and easy to follow schedule compared with other jobs where you might have periods of time where you're working long shifts, many hours in a week, and then other times where you're not working very much. And if that's how you're being paid, that means that you might have lots of money sometimes and you might have very little and be struggling other times. Being a teacher, you don't have to worry so much about that. The work hours and pay are reliable. But one of the cons is that being a teacher requires a lot of education compared to other jobs. So getting that master's degree, that's a lot of years of education, which translates into money spent and oftentimes student loans that need to be repaid. For other jobs, you may be able to get to the required level of education more quickly. Pros, you generally work in pleasant working conditions. You're going to be indoors most of the time where it's climate controlled. You have heat in the winter. You have air conditioning in the summer. Things are generally kept pretty clean, and you are given what you need in terms of furniture and equipment and supplies for the most part. There's plenty of jobs out there where the working conditions are not nearly as nice. You might, for some jobs you might have to be crawling on your belly underneath floorboards to run wires or to exterminate insects or something like that. And those are working conditions that are just not for everybody. One of the cons is that you don't always get your way. You've got multiple bosses at different levels. You have a department head that is your direct supervisor. You have a building principal who's partially in charge of what you do. You have the school superintendent who makes all the rules that you have to follow, and of course, New York State is the governing body that decides how schools should operate and makes some of the big rules. So you have to follow a lot of other people's rules, which can be a little bit frustrating too. Pros, you get to work with kids, and that can be a lot of fun. For technology teachers, we generally work with middle schoolers or high schoolers, and so some people prefer working with one age group over another. But again, even working with different age groups of kids has got different pros and cons, but working with kids is a fun and rewarding experience. On the other hand, you have to work with kids, and that can be frustrating because there's a lot of different personalities, there's a lot of different levels of maturity and intelligence and other things that you have to juggle and contend with. You have parents that can be difficult. There's a lot of things about working with kids that can sometimes make you grow some gray hairs. Pros, the work that you do as a teacher or as specifically as a technology teacher is important to the long-term success of students and society in general. It's rewarding work to do. You feel good about the work you do, like it matters. On the other hand, your day-to-day work can feel like chores. There's a lot of unpleasant tasks that go with the job, like going to meetings that you don't necessarily want to go to, or grading things that can be very time-consuming and tedious. Having to do things like cleaning up after sloppy students who leave your workshop a mess. These are all things that make the job a little less fun. The number of teaching jobs in technology is not expected to change very much over the next 10-year period. However, there are a large number of teachers who are near retirement age, retiring in the next 10 to 15 years. And that means that there are many anticipated vacancies for new teachers, even though the overall number of jobs isn't expected to increase or decrease. Many of those jobs will become available over the next 10 to 15 years. So school districts will be looking for new people to fill those positions. Across New York State, there are 1,480 people working as middle school technology teachers. There's 4,680 working as high school level technology teachers, and there's another 4,860 people working in technical training positions for people beyond the high school level. So this would be at the community college level or working as trainers in different technical training programs. So lots of jobs in the state for technology teachers. Looking at our area specifically, there are 75 school districts in the capital region, and each of those school districts is going to have some technology teachers. The smallest school districts might only have one who handles all of the tech teaching that goes on at that school district. A big school district like Shen has 18 technology teachers. So there's lots of jobs available in this region. Any school district is going to employ some technology teachers, and there's other opportunities outside of school districts also, working at BOCES centers, working at community colleges, and other capacities as a tech teacher. 12 of these school districts are right here in Saratoga County. So if you're a technology teacher looking for work, there's lots of opportunities right here close to home.